Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohio everybody. What is going on? It is Galeriot here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi Memoria Freese video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the latest anime gacha unit, which is a Dark Kaguya. Now, it was a bit of a surprise seeing Kaguya get an anime unit, to be quite honest. That being said, though, it was kind of also expected at the same time because we didn't know what else they could have done in terms of other anime units. We've got an Aisha, we've gotten a Daphne, Cassandra's done, Welf is done, Mikoto is done. So they had to go a little bit abstract, I guess, with this one. And so we have another Kaguya, our first non-time limited Kaguya, of course, as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to design her because we don't know anything about this unit. We just know that it's a Dark Kaguya, thanks to the data mines that happened yesterday, right? But we don't know about the skills or anything of that sort. So today we're going to take a look at this Kaguya. We're going to see how good she actually is and whether you should summon for her or not. And of course, if she is an AoE unit, we can probably see if we can test her out in, of course, some War Games practice mode. So of course, if you guys are going to enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more Danmachi content, and of course, leave a comment down below letting me know whether you guys are planning on summoning for this Kaguya or not. Now, let's have a look and see what this Kaguya can do. Of course, we're going to do the free multi as well later on in the video, so be sure to stick around for that. But let's see what this Kaguya can actually do. So she is an adventurer. We kind of knew that. You can obviously tell by the aura, like I've always said, you can tell by the aura if they're going to be, you know, an adventurer or an assist. If they have bubbles around them, it's an assist. If it's like a proper aura with the color and everything, it is going to be an adventurer. So Dark Kaguya, of course, let us see what she is. So she is a physical attack type unit, so no difference between the typings yet for Kaguya. I wish they would have gone for maybe like magic or something to just differentiate it a little bit more. But of course, there are other ways to differentiate this Kaguya with the old Dark Kaguya. I say old Dark Kaguya, the Dark Kaguya we got in November, potentially through her kid. Let's see how she goes. One thing I'm really hoping for, low-key though, I will say this, is I am begging Danmachi Memoria Freese to, you know, actually, for the love of God, you know, when it comes to these units, in all honesty, is giving them a little bit more variation, and on top of that, when it comes to these Kaguyas and everything, differentiate them more, because if you look at the fire physical Kaguya and the dark physical Kaguya, they have the same sort of issues in a way where their buffs are only for like a turn or two at most, but there's no like 3-turn buff or 4-turn buff or anything of that sort, which is really, really annoying. So I'm hoping this Kaguya at least has that, you know. Fingers crossed. Let's see if this happens. So her stats are pretty decent. I'm seeing that high dexterity. 1000 plus dexterity makes me think this is a single target unit. Agility is not bad at all. 1181 could be better, of course, but I'm thinking because of the dexterity, we could be seeing this this unit being a single target unit, which would make her hugely different in comparison to the other dark physical Kaguya we got in November, right? Let's see. Yes, she is single target. Ooh. Okay. Alright, so a Glittering Edge. Let's look at the special arts first and foremost. Single target, ultra dark physical attack damage plus 50% per each self dexterity and STR buff. So that's 200% damage on her essay, which is amazing. This is something I had an issue with when it came to the eyes. If you haven't checked that video out, you can go check out the buffs video as well as the should you summon from last night. I mentioned that the eyes that obviously got a buff and is rerunning in the part 2 banners, she's only got a 70% buff per strength skill. That's only a maximum of 140. This Kaguya has a 200% damage boost, which means it's a 60% difference. That is massive. That is huge even. She's also got Ultra on God rate and plus 4 actions of mid-dark physical attack with high on God rate and removes STR magic and P-res buffs of foe. Good, in all honesty. That's actually not too bad at all. And then 120% strength for 2 turns on allies. Ooh, okay, that's kind of very similar to Wine, actually. I'm gonna check out Wine in just a moment, but this is actually not a bad option as well for most players, to be quite honest. I'm trying to think of a dark physical team, to be honest. We might check it out in just a moment and see what options we have after we do the multis and stuff, maybe, or before we do the multi. But I want to see the dark physical single target team, because from memory, to be quite honest, I don't think there's that many options when it comes to dark physical single target units. So we're gonna have to see in regards to what options we have, because I actually don't know what I think about this, in all honesty, right now. I think the core unit is good right now so far from the special arts, but in terms of her team cohesion and everything, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly, to be quite honest. Let's carry on. Let's see what else she has. So with her first skill, get what? Geklison Shisui or Gekison? Well, it's Geklison Shisui. I'm gonna go with that. Single target, fast damage received, attack type single target plus 30%, and gives herself fast strength, dexterity, dark attack damage, and slow res plus 70% for 4 turns, and 3 additional actions of mid dark physical attack with high on guard rate, and STR magic and P-res removal buffs a foe. Really good. This is actually so good because one, you're going to be facing enemies, for example, like I said, Finn exists, right? We have units like Riveria Rivas who give themselves STR and magic buffs, either or depending on what you're facing, right? And then of course you're going to go up against Gareth, who gives himself P-res buffs. So having a unit like this that is capable of removing these buffs is going to be very, very useful against those enemies, in all honesty. And the fact that she's also giving herself 70% STR and dark attack damage is pretty solid, in all honesty. That's really not bad at all. And then the 30% extra damage received is nice for sure. The slow res is actually kind of interesting because, of course, in Record Buster, whenever we go into Record Buster, there are 2 ailments usually. It's usually either stun or seal, and then along with that they always give slow as well. They inflict slow on you. Now for the most part, most players just ignore the slow part because it doesn't really affect the gameplay loop, to be quite honest. You always try and set up glorious anklets or assists to basically block the stun or seal. More often than not, you use armor pieces to block it, right? So slow is something that you just ignore for the most part. Even if it's applied on you, it doesn't really affect you negatively too much, in all honesty. So having this unit get slow res is nice, but it's not something that's going to be revolutionary, in all honesty. It's not something that's revolutionary. In fact, if they gave her stun res or something, right, it would be very interesting because then you could probably consider giving her some other armor piece or something along those lines, maybe. That being said, I don't know what other armor piece you would give that would be beneficial. Maybe a breastplate with agility bonus to give you an extra chance at crit and counters and stuff like that. But realistically, there's not much else you could, do, in all honesty. So there is that. Okay. Ito Shingetsu is her second skill, fast super dark physical attack with high on guard rate and STR and magic minus 30%, and allies guard rate and heal plus 30% for 4 turns, and 10% MP heal. Okay, so she's got an MP heal on her second skill, which is not bad. I mean, considering her skills don't take too much MP, it's nice to have it, I guess, for the other members of the team, right? So I guess that's good. She's debuffing the enemy as well. So this is actually a really good unit for players who are just starting out as well. In my personal opinion, I think she'll be very, very usable in that sort of situation where, if you're really struggling to survive and stuff and, you need that extra bit of debuffing on the enemy. A unit like this Kaguya who can debuff the opponent's STR and magic and give yourself guard rate and heal is kind of nice. That being said though, is it really valuable? I don't know, because one, if you're guarding and you're also debuffing the enemy, you're very likely to take 0 damage at that point. And when you take 0 damage, you don't counter as often, which ends up becoming a bit of an issue. So there is good things about it and bad things about it. I think for beginning players, it'll be good. But then for late game players, when you're trying to take damage in order to counter while also dealing a lot of damage, it kind of becomes a sort of catch-20 effectively, if you get what I mean. It doesn't really work well together when you're trying to get maximum damage at that point. When you're trying to survive, this is a fantastic option. When you're not trying to well, you still want to survive, but when you're trying to deal extra damage through counters and stuff, this ends up becoming a little bit of an iffy situation, in all honesty. Her third skill is fast super dark physical attack damage plus 50% per each self STR and dexterity buff skill, and high on guard rate, and allies 30% HP heal and 30% HP regen for 2 turns. Very cool. I think, wait, 200% on her third skill. This is really powerful. This is really, really powerful, I feel. We're gonna take a look at some other single target units right now, but giving herself 200% damage along with a super dark physical attack is not bad at all, and high on guard rate as well. I think this is really solid. This is very, very solid. I think a lot of people will love this ability. This is going to be very strong. I think overall she's a strong unit, in all honesty. I think she's a very, very strong unit. Let's look at her. She's got counter damage plus 60%, which is nice. 20% damage upon critical and penetration as well. She's gonna get 100% slow res because she has already an inherent 30% ailment res, and then you mix in the 70% slow res. She's never gonna get slowed, basically, which is very cool, I guess. Um, okay. I have a couple of thoughts about this unit. I think she's going to be a fantastic option for a lot of players. I think she's going to be extremely valuable for starting players as well. The only issues I have with her is that she's doing arguably a bit too much in terms of, you know, trying to effectively survive, right? And potentially you're going to run into the risk of not countering at all, which invalidates this counter damage plus 60% at a point, right? So there is that factor. I think she'll be very good. I think she'll be very good for a lot of players. One thing I want to check is, of course, you know, we have to look at the other dark physical units that we have. Of course, we're gonna actually also look at the current Record Buster, and we're gonna see what teams are being run, because obviously usually I don't like spoiling about you know, the Record Buster that's happening until I make a video, right? Usually I go into the video and I actually know what's I actually see what's happening in that video, not beforehand. I don't spoil myself on like the weaknesses and resistances and everything before I make that video. But based on this Kaguya, I assume there's going to be dark res down and probably physical res down as well, potentially on Finn. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. But let's see what options we have for dark physical units. We're going to go 4-star. We're going to implement Hero Ascension so that we're not seeing some really old units, right? Let's have a look, see on what options we have. Now, of course, you can run, like, for example, you could run this dude, in all honesty, right? You actually could run this dude, and you could probably effectively run him as a single target option, right? It's very possible that you could run Astreus as a single target option. Of course, he will not take a lot of damage because he's, you know, giving himself so much resistances and everything, and effectively survivability with like 60% reduction in damage received from AoE and single target units. But he will not be a bad option, I suppose, right? In terms of other units, maybe Revis, sort of. She wouldn't be a terrible option, in all honesty. Revis is still a somewhat decent option. Could go really well alongside, I guess, Kaguya, in terms of at least being able to, you know, help her out, I suppose, right, and dealing some damage, right? She's able to give the dark res as well. She's able to give herself a decent amount of damage through SCR buffs and dark attack damage buffs, the 190% each, which is really solid, in all honesty. I think she will be good. Revis is a good option if you're going for a single target there. Finn, I would say okay. He's not also a bad option for single target. Of course, you look at the skill 1, and you can also look at her special arts to see what he does here. He wouldn't be a horrible option either, to be quite honest, right? And especially because he gives himself 100% dark attack damage. He gives himself STR 60% as well. He obviously gives himself a lot of resistance, and again an issue where he won't counter, and that can be a problem, in all honesty. That generally can be a bit of a problem. Kurumi is an AoE unit, a bit of an older one, so you wouldn't necessarily use her there. Obviously, if you have Goblin Slayer, you could use him as well, but interesting set of units. You could obviously go for some of these units. I like the fact that they made Kaguya a dark physical unit, for sure. That single target, that is, I should say, it makes her different compared to this dark physical Kaguya we got a couple of months ago, which is through and throughout a Wargames unit, right? But do I think you have a lot of options in terms of single target options for Record Buster? Or even, you know, familiar events? I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm going to go into Record Buster, and we're going to actually see what players are running, because this will give us an idea on what everybody's running. And it seems like more people are tending towards running a win team. Of course, I expect people to switch out Hyakintos for Kaguya. I assume once they summon, Wales will probably do that. But right now, people are just running basically Revis and the Wind units, because I assume Wind is also debuffed in this phase. But yeah, very interesting. I think right now the dark physical team isn't in really an amazing spot, right? So a lot of players are going to run sort of like a hybrid Wind dark team basically into Record Buster to get as much of a high score as possible. Alright, let's see what we get in the free multi. Let me know what you guys think about this Dark Kaguya. Obviously, we can't really trial her, to be quite honest, unfortunately. If I got her there, we could have probably seen a little bit of the damage she could have done at +0. But Yeah, unfortunately it doesn't seem like we're gonna be getting a Kaguya in this multi based on the gold ore and the fact that I'm literally getting basically what is a min roll here. This is tragic, bro. That was pretty much a min roll. Outside of one extra 3-star, that was a min roll. Would I summon on this banner? Personally, no, to be quite honest, because I have a good Record Buster team that I can probably go and take into Record Buster and be okay with. It's not gonna get me an insane score, but it will do well enough to the point where I'll probably get into the top 500, maybe in the top 1000 overall, which is still not a bad position to be in. But if you are looking to build a Record Buster team and you're starting, if you've gotten a couple of the ingredients already and you need that third DPS unit or something, I mean, Kaguya is not a bad option. Kaguya is definitely not a bad option. But that being said, with, of course, the Part 2 banners being live, Part 3 buffs coming out very soon, on top of that, the Hero Festa banners are still live and everything, right? I think a lot more players should be focusing on saving your currencies for, you know, Part 3 potentially, or the next Hero Festa banner, or spending on completing the steps if you haven't already on this Hero Festa banner, and focusing on that, and maybe getting future anime assists more so, because there's realistically no reason to potentially go for this when you can potentially build a proper Record Buster team in the future and you know, build a better one potentially, rather than just going for this Kaguya and then trying to figure out some team which you don't have, right? So that's what I would say about this Kaguya. Very good unit, probably not going to be for everybody though, so I would probably say skip for now, see what happens in the near future, and then you can come back and revisit it. Again, these banners are live for nearly 2 weeks, so you have more than enough time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you guys thought of this unit, and hopefully, you know, if you did summon on the banner, hopefully it went well. Let me know how it went, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take it easy, everybody. Bye-bye.